All right, if you would, please open your Bibles with me to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I had thought actually for a while this week that I would bring a message today about a major event that occurred this past week that I'm sure you all know about, this past Wednesday, whereby the world's attention was once again drawn to that tiny nation of Israel and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict there in what many consider to be a momentous event in modern world history, that being the announcement on Wednesday by the United States President Donald Trump that America would recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, formally, which they have not done. They've had, I guess, every president since 1995 has had that authority from Congress to do that, but they've not done that because they didn't want to cause war over there. Many Christian Zionists consider the event to be one of great prophetic significance, of course, and they hail this as a great move by what they see as the greatest president we've had in decades. On the other hand, Christian preterists like Chuck Baldwin and many others see no biblical significance whatsoever in the old city of Jerusalem or in the modern nation of Israel, and see this simply as another very foolish, provocative, and warmongering move by Trump that will lead to war. I'd say both these competing views actually are partially correct. I see the event as most certainly being a contributing factor of significance in the prophesied controversy of Zion that we've talked about in several recent messages a few months back. But like Chuck Baldwin, I also see this move by Trump as just one more in a continuing string of actions that this administration has taken to provoke warfare throughout the world, and in particular to greatly increase the likelihood of an eventual, or perhaps soon, attack on Iran. They've been wanting to attack Iran for a long time. Which would be another very stupid move that actually some brainless heretics like the rabid Christian hyper-Zionist John Hagee are insanely hoping for. Just crazy. That more than likely will also engage Russia and possibly China, what may well become a nuclear war. This past week, Brother Chuck Baldwin made some excellent points in an article that he published titled, Survey, Okay to Kill 2 Million People in a Preemptive Nuclear Attack. And I'm not going to quote the whole article. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs here. He said, a recent survey conducted by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, revealed a chilling discovery that a majority of Christians are apparently agreeable to preemptively nuking other nations, knowing that millions of civilians would die. The theoretical nation used in the survey was Iran. And the MIT survey found that 60% of the American people surveyed would be willing to preemptively nuke Iran, knowing that 2 million civilians would be killed. Chuck says it's not surprising to me that of the respondents who favored nuking and killing 2 million Iranians, most were Republicans, approximately 70%. Chuck says, I've said for years that conservatives and especially Christians, who comprise a large percentage of the Republican Party, have become rabid warmongers. I was not wrong, writes Chuck. Chuck's right on that point, right on. Brother Baldwin mentioned George W. Bush's policy shift of starting the allegedly preemptive wars that America has been engaged in for the past 16 or 17 years, which, of course, we know began back after the 9/11/2001 planned demolition of the triple towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. And then after he mentioned that, Chuck said this, and now Donald Trump is taking the war fever implanted in conservatives and Christians by G.W. Bush to a whole new level. Chuck Baldwin then ties Trump's agenda to his recognition of Jerusalem this past Wednesday. He says, yes, all this war fever is due to one thing, blind support for the Zionist state of Israel. Donald Trump, Republican neocons, and evangelical Christians seem to be salivating for global war. The neocons in Washington, D.C. are working to achieve a Rothschild-Goldman Sachs economic hegemony over the world, and conservative Christians are working to give the Zionist state of Israel political and military hegemony over the Middle East, and trying to help usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ, as if he needs their help. It's not, and I don't agree with much of the article because Chuck goes into quite a bit of detail as to his preterist leanings I'm going to talk about that next time. As various dominoes continue to fall here, including violent protests in Gaza and other occupied territories, followed by airstrikes by the Israeli Air Force in Gaza this week. There's a bit more analysis that needs to be done before I actually address this topic. Hopefully I'll do that next week. But in spite of the fact that some have said that this move was designed and had the goal of bringing the Palestinians back to the negotiating table, that's what some are saying, and to advance the peace process, my personal feeling is that it will probably do the exact opposite. I believe it's clear that one immediate result of this move will be to pull the plug on the so-called peace process, life support, and dash any hope of a two-state solution. Trump did say that we would agree to a two-state solution if both sides agreed. But Trump knows, and everyone knows, Israel's not going to agree to a two-state solution. So basically, we're saying, well, sorry, we're going to go ahead and take Israel's side here. And so basically it's public world knowledge now that America is not serious about the peace process. So it's a sad state of affairs over there. Lord willing, I will come back to that topic more in detail next week. For today, I want to address a very important subject of prayer, which the Bible presents as something that should be at the forefront of our priorities as Christians.